fathom the folly of focusing on follicles over physical fitness. That, my friends, is called alliteration. I have an English degree, and I'm aware that music is not just about rhymes, it's also about alliteration. Alliteration matters. It's starting with the same letter over and over. So yes, and I had to practice that like 8 times before I got it. Because you know I don't edit my videos. But yeah, I said, fathom the folly of focusing on follicles, your hair, instead of physical fitness. See, if you regularly watch my videos, you know that maybe 2/3 of my videos are about, losing your hair or whatever. And then the rest of them are either going to be about emotional intelligence or about body recomposition, which is ultimately having a routine and a strategy to cut your body fat and replace it with muscle mass. So these things I feel are very much of the same demographics. And I think it's so interesting because, as you all know, I'm red pill. You can never say to me, Nick, why don't you get a hair transplant? Nick, why don't you take Propecia? Nick, and the answer is always be because I'm red pill. And I don't believe in chasing happiness or buying happiness. I believe in creating my own happiness. So that's always going to be the answer for that. And people are learning that now, and they're not even asking me anymore in the comments about that. And I appreciate that, because what I'm wanting to do is redirect people's focus to the things that actually matter, which are ultimately red pill. So with that being said, it's a no-brainer. You're born with DNA that determines whether you go bald by age 35 or not. And if your DNA says that you're not going to be mostly bald by age 35 and you make it to 40, then you're probably going to have that much hair most of the rest of your life. It's that simple. I talk about it all the time. Most of the rest of the world doesn't talk about it, but I do. I've been very aware of that for a long time, years on this channel. You can't control that. You can try to stop it or slow it down arbitrarily. But ultimately, what can you much more easily control? Your physical fitness. You totally can do that. Now granted, it takes willpower and it definitely takes a strategy, and I am no one to pretend that I'm some kind of expert on it. If I were going to give you a name of an expert, I'd say look up Thomas DeLauer. He's awesome. I love that guy. Look him up. He's an expert. I'm not. I'm just an average guy. And somebody said, Nick, you were never overweight to begin with. I would beg to differ. I think all you have to do is go back to early 2020 and you'll clearly see the difference. I was a much heavier guy. I definitely had a lot more body fat. It was obvious when you go back that far. You can't go back 6 months. You can't even go back a year. Go back a year and a half. Go back to early 2020 and you'll see it, because I didn't even start weight training until February 2020. So you can see it if you just go back before that. And even then, it took me a lot to even learn what I'm doing. But the thing is, even if I've had this journey of figuring out, like, okay, what hours of the day should I eat? What should I eat? How much protein per meal? How many calories should I eat? Etc. There's all of those things to consider. And then there's also, what should I be doing at the gym? How many days at the gym? What should I be doing for my cardio outside of the gym? Should I be doing heavy cardio like running? Or should I do low impact like walking? For how long? See, these are questions that lead somewhere. They lead to a solid answer. Like, hey, we may have to experiment a little bit, but we'll figure it out. I'll eventually get there. I'm reaching my goals. I've already reached my initial goal as far as fat loss. I'm looking at that last 7 pounds now. And then at that point, what's really cool is I get to go into a caloric surplus and eat a bunch more food so that I actually start building muscle mass. So that's gonna be really cool. Like, that'll be the next phase once I trim a little bit more belly fat that I'm wanting to do. But see, that's exciting, isn't it? Isn't it easy to be passionate about that? Why? Because I can actually do something about it. Now, beyond that, let's look at the value of it. Let's look at the value of being physically fit, which you have control over and requires discipline, as compared to trying to not go bald, which all it means is you're wasting your time and energy and emotions and money and etc. Now here's what's funny. Closing statement. as you all know, I live in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And something, if you drive down, I-65 or any of the major interstates that we have here in Nashville, you're gonna see a bunch of billboards. And you're gonna see at least 2 of them. Anytime you're driving to Nashville, you're going to see 2 of them that are going to be about hair transplants. So you're gonna see, the dichotomy. Here's the guy that has hair, here's the guy that doesn't. So, the before and after. Here he is without any hair because he's going bald or whatever, and now suddenly here he is. So you know how it works. In the before picture, he's slumped over, he's not smiling, and then suddenly he's standing straight up and he's got his chest out and he's happy. But what's funny is, recently we were driving to Nashville and my wife looked up and saw the billboard and she said, he actually looked better without the hair. She actually said that. She said, and the reason for that is because he was slimmer. Look, imagine the irony that's lost on that guy on the billboard. That some random stranger would drive by, see him on the billboard and think, he actually looked better when he was bald because at least he was slimmer then. So it's funny because what do you care more about? Do you want to have hair or be physically fit? Because that is such a masculine thing to do because it shows our discipline. It shows that we can actually accomplish this. But just going to a facility and paying thousands of dollars for someone to move some follicles around, skin around, okay, now I have hair. Like, that doesn't impress anybody. Who cares? It reminds me of the whole concept of, if you shave your hair, does that make you more attractive? Well, studies have been done on this, and the answer is this. If you're noticeably balding, people agree you look better when you shave it off. If you're not noticeably balding, arguably even for me, a person like me, people would say I am more attractive with hair. However, they also would tell you that I seem more confident without hair, that I seem taller, which I'm only 5'9", so I guess that helps, that I'm more assertive, that I'm more of a leader, and that I'm actually more physically, I appear physically stronger without the hair. So if you had to choose one or the other, which would you choose? It's very obvious. The practical decision here is to focus on becoming physically fit and to shave the hair. It takes that away, that burden off of your shoulders and away from you, and it's not your problem anymore. Once you cross to the other side like I have, not because I've, quote, gone bald, but because I've shaved my hair off, once you go to the other side, you're able to look around and think, oh, wow, all these people are wasting their time and money and energy thinking about hair loss, but life's easier now, and I'm happier now. What it reminds me of is like when you become emotionally intelligent and realize that your emotions are always your decision. You can't become offended or disrespected or anyone hurt your feelings without you making that decision to be offended. And once you get into that world of realizing all of that was just part of the matrix, and I was taking the blue pill, but now I'm taking the red pill, I choose the red pill. This is superior. What's your perspective on reality? Where does it belong? Belongs right here.